Wrestling Park. We looked at Walnut Hills, and we began. We really focused our framework plan on reinvigorating the community in a multitude of ways, and the separate boards will break down those in a more focused manner. We're talking physically changing the transportation and linking it together with the other neighborhoods regionally in the area. It borders directly with important employer opportunities for the community and the city, and with our transportation we can really link that up. So we began our framework plan with picking out one of the options of the interstate changes, and we picked S2A, which is going to put interstate exits here and up here, and then also linking that with a light rail transit system, and then that's a more regional scale, and then breaking down the neighborhood into several more individual pockets and focus on the community that way. And,
okay, so in terms of the types of things that we're trying to do, we want to create what we're calling a cultural identity for the neighborhood. We think that that's what's going to bring in people as residents and what's also going to bring in people as visitors. So we're focusing on residential activity in types of quadrants, new business developments, historic type business districts, and cultural and community centers, a green infrastructure system for aesthetic, ecological, and economic purposes, and we also are trying to, in terms of transportation, integrate streetcar into the city's framework as well. So I guess three of the main group areas that we focused on are our green infrastructure, our commercial development, and our cultural network. And I think the first one to talk about is commercial development.
Yes. My name is Andy Sanchez. I did the commercial and economic development. Here's my poster here. The way I'm
sorry, could I ask you, would you mind pointing out and guiding us through those lower diagrams?
Sure. So why don't you begin?
Okay, so this is the commercial development. Green is the business corridors. This is the McMillan-Taft one right here. Here's the Gilbert corridor, Martin Luther King, and Victory Parkway. The reds are commercial nodes after our proposals, and the blue lines kind of go to my theory, which I'll explain that right over here. The way I started out is we determined that the best aspect of like the existing neighborhood is the business district. It has a lot of very unique architectural significance. There's some really cool buildings back there, a lot of which have fallen in very poor shape. And we saw that as a big asset for the community. It has the potential to put some very unique character-driven businesses. And going into the housing thing, it came out to like, okay, who's going to live here? And basically we determined that there are going to be families starting out. These are the new residents, families starting out, and younger professional people. And so those two demographics desire, mainly the young professional, one of the big things that seems really important from them is culture. They want the area they live in to be culturally significant and have like a place and be kind of, not like the suburbs that have its own identity. Which brings us to this right here. So what we determined which kind of guided our, was more or less the theory behind our designs, was say this is a market. This is any market. This is the short head of the markets, meaning that in here is where you're going to find like luxury lofts, condominiums, Starbucks, and Snuggies, like just all the stuff that's cool and trendy. The in part of the market, which obviously this is profits going up this way. The in part is more like how internet companies seem to make their money. They go for more personal approaches, and they'd rather make less money over longer periods of time, creating like a sustainable business investment. Now to apply that to the business and commercial development, we identified This right here being your standard shopping malls, gas stations, all that. With the other side, the long tail of the market being your independent, community-owned businesses. So with that, I broke the businesses down into 3 tiers. Tier 1 were pedestrian-oriented businesses. These are the businesses that we wanted to create culture and a sense of place, which are in the existing business district. Tier 2, these are auto-oriented convenience businesses. The goal of these is to just kind of grab passerbys. So those are positioned up here to the north of the site, to the east, to the south, and to the west on McMillan where the new highway ramp is. In Tier 3, which are the large commercial businesses, which we have one right here. This is our proposed one, a grocery store, and the car dealership. The car dealership, I wasn't really sure what that kind of fit into, but since it is very profitable, it fits into this category right here. So economically, Walnut Hills has a spending power of around $146 million. The way they broke it down was for what investment staying in the community, of which 9.2 is for the restaurant revenue. There's a few restaurants, a handful of them. 3.7 was retail. There aren't very many retail stores there right now. And 8.2 was grocery, which goes to Kroger's. And basically what the drill down report, which is what this all came from, suggested was that Walnut Hills has a spending power of $146 million. Well, all this adds up to $21 million. So they're losing $125.4 million to elsewhere, which that's pretty significant. Now, since I kind of went a little further, I didn't include it for the Walnut Hills thing, but if you look at all the communities surrounding Walnut Hills, you will realize that you have almost close to $500 million is leaving the area and going elsewhere, which brings us to this right here. We identified Martin Luther King and Gilbert Avenue. This corner right here, right now, it's a neighborhood. It's not in very good shape. There are a few houses back there that are decent, but we identified that as a major commercial point, mainly because you have the highway with our highway alignment. Will feed people off right there, and you have 2 really big roads. You have Victory Parkway at the north, which does a little bit, which would, with this development, would kind of funnel people back. So this site is sandwiched between Martin Luther King and Blair Avenue. We have commercial, Tier 3 commercial in the front, like shopping malls. We have some open space, high-density housing bordering Gilbert, and on the inside, we have high-density office usages, which could realistically, more than likely, be medical. It'd be a lot easier, it seems like, to get there than it would over by the hospitals. In some row homes, with most of the site, a lot of the border being undevelopable for topography reasons. Additionally, this area right here, where this block is, all the commercial, we'd have to bring it to grade probably with parking underneath because it's some pretty steep slopes there.
Excuse me, Andres, does
Yes.
he get 15 minutes or do they get 15 minutes as a total? You might want to wrap it
15 minutes
up.
total.
Yeah, okay. So, basically, the concept of the bordering businesses, going back to this right here, is that these businesses will bring people into the neighborhood to use the other outlets in the community, which is why you have that. And yeah, now she will cover the housing.
It's not exactly the housing, it's connecting between the housing and the culture piece of all. So we're trying to create a network of cultural centers, bring it together as a cohesive connections within the neighborhood, which is shown in this diagram. We identified like 6 different cultures. His focus area, which is we have this little as the civic recreation centers, and then to the south it's like the cultural gateway, which we have the Arsenal Art and the art museums located at the south, and then the centers is this new source locations, and the proposed one is my little piece of African American art campus, which trying to celebrate the history, the cultural history of African American peoples in the Walnut Hills. And also another one is the